Hi everyone, I'm Sean Griffin. Today I want to inspect the difference between a lease and buy scenario for a 2020 Chevy Silverado 1500 Crew Cab, two-wheel drive, 4.3 liter Ecotec 3 V6 engine. Okay, and what I've done is I've gone to the Chevy website and I can see this lease offer, and if you go down below, there's a build and price button, which I've opened on the next tab over here. So we can compare leasing versus buying a car. Let's do the buy scenario first. And what I want is the crew cab short bed. It is $36,000. We're gonna drop off the 35. And so what I've done, if I come over to my simple loan calculator, I have typed in $36,000 at 3.15% interest. A friend of mine was kind enough to offer a current rate that he received from a credit union, so I've used that number in this scenario. We're going to say that this loan is for a period of 5 years. So what would our monthly payments be? The formula, the spreadsheet, will calculate a $649 monthly payment over 60 months. And your total interest that you'll pay over the life of the loan will be $2,956, nearly $3,000. Not the best, not the worst, pretty good. And your total cost of owning that vehicle over 5 years would be $38,956. So nearly $39,000. Okay, so let's go to the lease scenario. And let's look at the terms of the lease. It says that it's $229 a month for 24 months. You also have to read this, and this is a con for the leasing column, if you will. Qualified leasees are the only ones that are able to get this. So I've leased 2 vehicles, and in both situations, they wanted me to have a 740 credit rating or above to qualify for this lease. So that keeps some people out. And then also it's $229 a month, but they're lured back in via got good credit. And they say $229 a month for 24 months. What's the catch? Well, the catch is you have to pay $3,449 down for that lease. And that's a substantial chunk of cash that not everybody has sitting around just waiting to spend on a car. So if you don't have that discretionary income and you don't have a trade that's worth that, then that hurts. It's a big ouchie, and it can be a deal breaker for a lot of people. So I put that in the con section. But it's not quite a con. It's kind of a pro. And let's look at why. I'm going to scoot over here to my buy versus lease scenario. And let's inspect these lease details and see how it would play out if we did this deal. At $229 a month times 24 months, that would total $5,496 in payments. But you also have to add in that $3,500 down payment. And that means in 2 years you would spend $8,996. That's your down payment plus all the payments over those 2 years. Okay, let's divide that by 24 months so we can see how much that would actually cost us per month. And it comes out to $374.83 per month, which is not terrible. That's actually pretty good for being able to drive a brand new car off the lot that's really essentially a $36,000 vehicle. So pretty good deal. But let's go further in our analysis. So if I go over here to this buy column, I can say, well, all right, here's the number off of the previous sheet. This is the total cost of ownership for this vehicle if I buy it, almost $39,000. If I divide that by 5 years, I can see that I'm paying out $7,791 a year. All right, so this is how much it costs me per year if I buy it. If I lease it, I'm paying out this much in 2 years, so we divide by 2, and we can see that I will spend $4,498 per year to lease the car. So for me, that's pretty good. There's a substantial difference here. What is that? $3,200, $300. Okay, less to lease the car. All right, well, let's break out one last scenario. How long would you have to lease this car before it becomes more expensive than buying the car. Here's the total cost of buying the car, because at $7,791 a year, first year, second, third, fourth, and fifth, that totals out to this number. But we determined by year by year, you pay $4,498. And we're going to assume that this is the first lease, these first 2 years, right? And then you release. There's your second 2 years. Here's your third vehicle that you're on. Brand new vehicle. You never had to change tires, do brake maintenance, mess with timing chains, or anything else. All you had to do was take it in for their free oil change, and you could probably even change the air filters and window wipers yourself. All right, so that's 1 year, 1 car, 2 cars, 3 cars, 4 cars. Wow, and you're still at the end of that lease at $36,000, which is still less than your car here. So then you get into your last lease. And during that year, you come up to $40,000. So that's the year in that fifth lease. You're on your fifth new car where you overcome this $39,000, and it costs more to lease. So you could say, well, yeah, but over here I own the car and I haven't had to pay for it for 3.5 years. And I'm like, yeah, really kind of what you own there is a 9. Really, it's the year before, in a lot of cases, an almost 10-year-old car, right? But at least 9 years by that point, at least 8.5. And so I have to say, well, a lot of people get rid of a car at that point because it's past warranty, things will start to break. It's just not a good scenario. And you have to start doing major maintenance at 50, 60,000 miles. And so I'd like to avoid that situation, which is one of the reasons that I leased. So you can go through 5 cars in 9 years before it starts costing more to lease in this particular scenario. Now, I'm not going to claim that this is the same for every one of the lease deals. It's probably not, but this particular deal, this is how it is. And so at the end of the 10th year, you would have paid this much money. Well, over here, probably, I'm going to guess a lot of people in year 8 or 9, when stuff starts breaking, probably would have gone out and bought a new car. And they're going to start this all over again. And it's like, well, you're breaking even either way, kind of. And so you got to think, do I want to drive a new car that doesn't have problems, or do I just want to keep a car until it has problems and still say, well, it's cheaper than having to fix stuff, or than to make payments. For these last 3 years, I haven't had to make payments. That's great. And if you don't have any major maintenance stuff, that's fantastic too. But you're winning only until the 9th year. Over here, you're driving a brand new car. You're not even changing brakes or tires. And here is a con, by the way, for this particular deal. This is 20,000 miles, so that's going to be 10,000 miles a year, I believe, is what they're looking at, which is not a lot. So if you're driving a lot, that's probably not a good deal for you. So you have to take that into consideration. Or they charge you 25 cents a mile over 20,000 miles, which can really add up quickly. On the lease deals that I did, it was with a Honda car, and it was 10 cents a mile over. So I could go 5,000 miles and pay $500, and that wasn't a huge deal. It's not something I wanted to do, so I kept my miles down. But I also had 15,000 miles per year. So, and I had a 3-year lease, so I could go 45,000 miles on a vehicle. All right, so that's my breakdown and some pros and cons of buying versus leasing. And it's just my viewpoint when I decided to lease that everybody said, oh, you're going to get ripped off. You're just paying for the depreciation of a vehicle. But when I ran these numbers, it looked something like this for me. And I thought, this is so comparable. I don't really want to keep a problem car for all these years. So I'm going to go ahead and, since I had kids and I was taking them to soccer and basketball practice and everything, I just need to have a car that ran. And I did want the new amenities. This worked out to be a little bit cheaper for me. So I would advocate for a lease, but only if it makes sense for you. Everybody has to decide for themselves. Okay, thanks for watching. Leave comments below.